Everyone, I am Pastor Misty Howick, and I am the ordained elder serving New Song United Methodist Church in Surprise, Arizona. We are continuing our study on the Proverbs, and it is about 4:36 p.m. Arizona time. I keep trying to aim for 2 o'clock, and stuff just keeps getting in the way. That's all right. We are on chapter 22 this week, and it has been a really fun time of kind of looking at how can we retranslate some of these proverbs. Do they still hold the same meaning? It has been really fun. We have identified that a lot of the proverbs come from the ancient wisdom traditions of the Near East, the ancient Near Eastern wisdom traditions. And so there's a lot of influences from Egypt in these proverbs and these sayings. There are many collections within the Proverbs. We've already gotten through the first collection, which was like an introduction and general wisdom that was not written in couplets. And then collection 2 started with chapter 10. Collection 2 started with chapter 10 in Proverbs as it started getting into these couplets, and we talked about them. They're antithetical, so they restate the thing in the opposite way. And today we get to start collection 3 of Proverbs, and it happens right in the middle of chapter 22. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start reading. I'm not going to go and give a little interpretation of each verse, but I might have a couple of comments on them. And then we will talk about collection 3, which happens on verse 17 of Proverbs. So let's get started. Chapter 22, verse 1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is the maker of them all. The clever see danger and hide, but the simple go on and suffer for it. The reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. Okay, I want to pause here for just a second. It's very interesting. The first 3 proverbs kind of go together in that, well, at least the first 2. There are more important things than wealth, right? When the rich and the poor meet, God made both of them, so they have a lot more in common than they would think, is how I interpret that. And the first verse is a good name is to be chosen rather than riches. So it's more about your honor and your reputation than how much stuff you have, how good of a person you are. And then verse 4 kind of just removes all of that. The reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. So it's lifting up riches here, although it does talk about the character of a person, which is not wealth, right? It's not possessions. So the Proverbs, again, they're just an anthology of different people's, different sages, different wisdom traditions. And some of them are like, yay, let's lift up riches. And others are like, no, there's more important things than riches and possessions. And sometimes there's a mix of the two, of be humble, be righteous, and you'll get riches. So it's really interesting to see those play out as we read along. Verse 5, thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. The cautious will keep far from them. Train children in the right way, and when old, they will not stray. I hear that one all the time in quotations and TV shows and things like that, to train your children in the right way so that when they're older, they'll be on the right path. Verse 7, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of anger will fail. Now, there have been some verses here that talk about rods, especially when it comes to punishment. And if you look throughout Proverbs, they use this word rod. In some cases, it is not a literal rod. Sometimes it is like a theoretical rod of rebuke or criticism, or some way of straightening out someone's behaviors, but not an actual physical rod that they're beaten with. This one is, according to our Jewish study Bible, this is a rod that would, let me see, I'm going to go ahead and look in our study Bible so that I can get it right, so I don't rely on my own memory here. A flail used in threshing grain. The power of the unjust man's anger will prove ineffective. So there you go. Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of anger will fail. So that's what you got. Verse 9, those who are generous are blessed, for they share their bread with the poor. Verse 10, drive out a scoffer and strife goes out, quarreling and abuse will cease. Verse 11, those who love a pure heart and are gracious in speech will have the king as a friend. That's a nice, optimistic thought. Verse 12, the eyes of the Lord keep watch over knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the faithless. 13, the lazy person says, there is a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets. So I just need to see. I need to go back to our Jewish study Bible. What does that mean? Where is that coming from? Verse 13, the lazy man finds the silliest excuses to beg off work, is how that is translated in our Jewish study Bible. I love that. I could have put that in our little title today. The lazy person says, there is a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets. It's an excuse for not going out there and going to work. Verse 14, the mouth of a loose woman is a deep pit. He with whom the Lord is angry falls into it. So very interesting, different ideas happening. Someone who's angered the Lord will fall into a pit that a prostitute has set up. So funny. Verse 15, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far away. Verse 16, oppressing the poor in order to enrich oneself and giving to the rich will lead only to loss. There's no comment here in our Jewish study Bible about the rod in verse 15, so we can take it for what it is, either metaphorical, the idea, the figurative rod, or a literal one. Here we come to the end of this section, and that is the end of collection 2. That's it. So now we begin collection 3 here in Proverbs, and this is so exciting. So they have identified, and again, I'm going to read out of the Jewish Study Bible because this is just better for me to make sure I've got it straight. They have decided, since 1923, it has been recognized that Proverbs chapter 22, verse 17 through chapter 23, verse 11 is based on the Egyptian instruction of Amenomope. All right, say that one 5 times fast. I've actually been practicing saying that. Amenomope. And if you want to see it spelled out, it is in the title, or the description rather, of our movie today, Amenomope. I had to listen to it to see that. So anyways, it is the instruction of Amenomope, though there may be centuries of reworking from the time the Egyptian book was translated into the Canaanite predecessor of Hebrew. The relationship is close, and the sayings in this unit follow the order of the parallel sayings in Amenomope. In the following, the parallel passages are indicated, and they talk about how they identify the parallel passages. So this is really cool. This is like goes way back to ancient Egypt. These are wisdom sayings that go even before the Canaanite influence on the people who went into the new land. And so this is Egyptian stuff. Exciting. The words of the wise. Incline your ear and hear my words, and apply your mind to my teaching. Before I go on, I just want you to understand that even though we can trace it back to ancient Egypt, there have been so many translations done. So between ancient Egyptian to the Canaanite, to the Hebrew, to the English, and who knows if there was some other middle language in between. I just want to mention that when we're looking at English versions of old texts like this, We just have to, do our best to understand that there has been a lot of translation in the middle of it. Okay, verse 18. For it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have made them known to you today, yes, to you. Have I not written you for 30 sayings of admonition and knowledge, to show you what is right and true, so that you may give a true answer to those who sent you? Do not rob the poor because they are poor, or crush the afflicted at the gate. For the Lord pleads their cause and despoils of life those who despoil them. Make no friends with those given to anger, and do not associate with hotheads, lest you learn their ways and entangle yourself in a snare. Do not be one of those who give pledges, who become surety for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? Do not remove the ancient landmark that your ancestors set up. Do you see those who are skillful in their work? They will serve kings. They will not serve common people. So there you go. So we're going to keep going next week and continue on with this collection 3 that comes right from Amenomope. There we go. Almost sounds like a part of the alphabet. Amenomope. Amenomope. There you go. I hope you're getting as much fun out of this as I am. So you can definitely tell a difference in the English of how it like flows, right? Definitely not couplets anymore. Still like little wisdom sayings, especially when you get into verse 22. In talking about people who are poor and how to treat them, and especially why should you take away someone's bed. Let's see, here we go. Which verse is that? Do not rob the poor because they are poor, crush the afflicted. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? What a curious little phrase that is. I had to look it up. Bed is a blanket or garment that a person would roll up in. Though a debtor had some legal protection in this regard, a guarantor did not. So you can still hold on to your bed even if you can't pay the person you owe a debt to back. That doesn't work the same as guarantors, I guess, who have guaranteed another person because of the collateral. So that's very interesting. Some things that come to mind when I'm reading this chapter today, again, knowing that they are coming from all different people and all different times, and it's just a little anthology of lots of wisdom sayings. I ask questions of myself, like, why do we need so many rules? Like, why are people so inclined to cheat and to lie and to harm one another, that, they need to be repeated over and over again? Don't cheat, don't do things falsely, don't speak against people, don't, hurt the poor. And it just reminded me of a book an audiobook I'm listening to called Us. And it is a book that I'm reading with my husband by Terrence Real. And for the most part, the first 8 chapters are all of it's written by the psychotherapist. Terrence Real is a psychotherapist dealing with couples therapy, but he has a lot of wise things to say about, how people become the people that they are, especially in the last 2 chapters. And he talks about disassociating, that people disassociate from others, and it makes others less human, and so they can cheat, they can lie, and they don't understand the consequences. They don't connect their actions to harming another individual. They've just mentally, psychologically disassociated from the rest of humanity. They have glorified themselves. They have put themselves up on a pedestal. All that really matters is them and their own well-being and their own desires. And this is just a psychological thing that happens through exposure, through the way that we're raised as children, through chemicals, through mental pathways, all of that. And it's very interesting to think about that. And so If you're going to join us on Sunday, this is the last little tidbit. We are going to be talking about how we stay connected, and it fits very well not only with this Proverbs as we're thinking about making wise decisions, but it also connects to our other Lenten studies where we're talking about the messes that we find ourselves in or the sins that we commit. So I hope that you'll join us then, and I hope you enjoyed today's chapter 22. I want you to say it with me. Ready? Nope, I can't say it. I have to look at it. This is from a collection of Amenomope. I had it earlier. All right, you'll have to go back and replay it and hear me say it in the beginning, and then I'm going to have to go practice again. All right, God bless you all. Have a wonderful day.